Last Friday, we witnessed one of the most clownish, ridiculous tech disasters known to man when millions of Windows machines across the US went down, thanks to a botched update from the cybersecurity firm Crowdstrike. Kind of an ironic name, honestly. To be exact, 8.5 million machines were trampled by the circus elephant, but now the plot is thickened. Many theories have emerged worldwide. Was this a silly mistake made by an intern? Was this a cyber attack being covered up? Or was it a false flag planned by our shadowy deep state overlords? In this video, we're going to take a look at what we know and try to make sense of this chaotic, crazy train of a tech disaster by taking a close look at the technical details. Here's some crazy background for you first. On April 21st, 2010, around 1400 UTC, a McAfee antivirus update accidentally removed the Windows Service Host file and knocked millions of computers running Windows XP off the internet, causing them to endlessly reboot, causing loss of critical services around the world. This disaster happened almost 2 decades ago, but it's almost identical to the Crowdstrike disaster currently happening today. And here's the crazy part. The then CTO of McAfee was none other than George Kurtz, the current CEO of Crowdstrike. Which is absolutely insane, because you'd think after the first globally disrupting disaster, you'd never be allowed to touch a personal computer again. Thanks to some insight within the situation, we now know the embarrassing truth about what happened with the Crowdstrike disaster. Kind of. Bjarne Stroustrup, the creator of C++, famously said, "C++ makes it harder to shoot yourself in the foot, but when you do, you blow your whole leg off." We really should have listened to him, because Crowdstrike released an official statement about what happened, and it went something like this.
Come on, you guys. There it is, right there in front of you the whole time. You're dereferencing a null pointer. Open your eyes.
Crowdstrike has a piece of software called Falcon Sensor, which sits in the background looking for potential security anomalies. It has a driver built into it, which is the thing that makes it run code, along with a bunch of channel files, which are just config files that tell the program about potential threats the system can look for. Because the files weren't kernel drivers, they could be updated on the fly. However, when Crowdstrike tried to push an update to channel file 291, a logic error caused the entire system to crash. Normally, what happens when an app crashes is it only breaks that app and leaves everything else in userland, aka Ring 3, alone. Crowdstrike, however, runs in Ring 0, which is the kernel, and it happens to be the most privileged area around the CPU and is usually reserved for process scheduling and accessing hardware parts directly. Why this program needs to be in Ring 0 in the first place is beyond me, but again, their CEO was CTO for McAfee, so I guess anything is possible. Ring 0 is an area usually reserved for Microsoft workers only, and in order for a third party to run code here, they must have a WHQL certificate showing that they know how to code in the kernel properly, and to verify your code won't break 8.5 million devices and crash the global economy. So it's Microsoft's fault then? Not quite. You see, Crowdstrike can make updates to those config files or channel files dynamically. In this case, the driver, for whatever reason, couldn't read file 291, causing everything to crash. That's the official story thus far, but folks on Long have been able to dig up more news. There's a guy on the internet who is a professional C++ programmer who's provided a breakdown of the code that was involved that went viral. He diagnosed the problem as a skill issue, where some dude coded up a null pointer trying to access a memory address that doesn't exist, which would be like trying to call the name of someone who's never even been born. Coincidentally, this is a pretty rookie mistake that an if statement would have been able to solve pretty easily. The tweet has since then been community noted, and another security researcher pointed out that the code was reading pointers from a table on a loop, and that some of them were invalid. He states that it looks like some of the values were being left uninitialized. To make this even more confusing, at the time of me editing this video, the community note on the original post has been deleted, and there's still debate on whether or not this was a null pointer or the issue that I previously mentioned. The crazy thing is that from all of this, it looks like the driver has been broken for a long time already, and that the channel file was simply the straw that broke the camel's back. We may not know a full answer until the bureaucracy sifts through it, and we may have to wait a bureaucratically long period of time in order to just get a semi-straight answer at best and Joe Biden at worst. So what does all this mean? Well, it looks like a developer wrote some bad code, said it works fine for me, but then made the mistake of deploying on a Friday. We can't just blame the dev though, because devs write bad code all the time. With that said, a failure like this should have never been deployed. Falcon Sensor isn't a basic to-do list app. For software that runs on a critical line like this, there should already be multiple layers of protection built into it. Basic things like quality assurance, continuous integration, staggered rollouts, and more. It's unfathomable that something this critical was allowed to pass all the way to end user systems without any checks, where it would kill 8.5 million machines. Someone needs to take accountability, but it shouldn't be the programmer. This was an organizational failure at the top level, and this isn't the first time Mr. Kurtz has been at the helm when a disaster like this has occurred. He knows that real men test in production and is annoyingly willing to die on that hill. At the end of the day, the most likely cause of this issue was the severe lack of quality control at Crowdstrike. Crowdstrike sells a very expensive product that very few understand. And so, if you want an exotic car collection like his, your sales team is far more important to you than your development team. Another theory floating around is that this wasn't an accident, but the work of a foreign operator conducting espionage. Some people go even deeper, saying that this event was planned. The World Economic Forum has made predictions about a global cyber attack, and Crowdstrike is a WEF partner. Some say that this was all a test run for the real thing that was predicted to happen on August 12, 2026. Whatever the cause, this event has been a crapstorm, and millions of lives have been negatively affected. Hopefully we'll learn from this event, and maybe Colonel Kurtz will finally step down and retire to a life in a cave, never to see a digital device again. Thank you for watching, and what do you think? Was this gross negligence, an attack, or a planned trial for doomsday? Let me know in the comments. Leave a like and subscribe so you can stay tuned for more content coming soon.